So America really messed me up. And I didn't even understand how much until I left to move here to the UK. I didn't understand it until all of the hustle started to get really quiet, until the grind lost its grip on me, until I looked around and realized that not everybody lives the way we live in America. I was raised to believe that rest equates to laziness, that if you weren't exhausted at the end of the week, then you really weren't working hard enough and you didn't put enough into your day. And if you weren't hustling 24/7, you didn't really deserve any peace of mind or any kind of relaxation. In America, we wear burnout like a badge, like it's an honor to be so exhausted that you can barely think. Clocking 60-hour work weeks and then calling it ambition is the norm. And we're bragging about being busy. And if we have nothing to do, if we have a couple hours where we're not being productive, we're somehow inferior or we're somehow less than the person next to us. Or we're going to not be able to achieve as much because we took that couple hours rest. I really didn't realize how much I confused hyper independence with strength. I got it, or yes, or I'd be happy to, became reflex answers to the point where I wasn't even thinking about the answer. Someone asked me to do something and I would just be like, yeah, okay. And I wouldn't even think about whether or not I really wanted to do it, whether I actually had time to do it, whether I was able to and had the tools or knowledge to actually complete it, this task, or do this thing that somebody was asking me to do. And I even find it now in my work life that I'm in that conditioned mode to say yes when someone asks me to do something, even though I actually don't want to, or even though it's not something that I feel like I'm ready to tackle. Asking for help in America often feels like a failure, like you aren't good enough, or like your lack of knowledge means that you aren't the person for the job, or you're not the person for the relationship, or you don't know what you're doing. Also, being vulnerable is considered a weakness. Boundaries is just this buzzword that you throw around to try to make someone feel better when they're having a bad day. More like a luxury for somebody who's already got it worked out and can afford to take that time or set those boundaries. Almost like it was a reward for hitting a certain milestone in your life. Then I'll be in the position where I can actually set boundaries, where I can actually say no every once in a while. I have to admit that I didn't even realize what enough actually looks like. I always thought I needed more money. I always thought I needed more time. I always thought I needed more in love. Because in America, enough is never enough. Even if you are at a certain financial threshold, or you're at a certain emotional state, or your relationship is at a certain point, you're supposed to always want more. You're supposed to never really be satisfied with where you are. You're supposed to always want to find more, or achieve something new, achieve more titles, get more work done. It just leads to more pretending. It just leads to more stress, and it just leads to more anxiety and self-loathing more than it does in anything else. I pretty much learned from a very early age to perform at all costs, to smile through the chaos, answer how are you with, oh, busy, but what do you need? With a big smile, making sure you don't say no, and as if being overwhelmed and being exhausted made me important, as if silence was something to outrun. And when I moved, I thought I'd left it behind, but the anxiety and the reflex that I learned in America came with me. And that automatic instinct to overwork was still hardwired in me. It was still part of my instincts, part of my life. Because America doesn't just live in geography. You always absorb what's around you in your environment. And that whole mindset just stayed with me. And I just realized recently that it's probably going to take a lot longer to go away than I realized. And it's much, much deeper than I ever thought it was. So now I'm on a journey of unlearning all of that stuff that it took me 40 plus years of hardwire to learn and environment seeping into my brain. I have to accept that sitting in stillness is strength, that taking care of myself with rest is acceptable and I don't have to apologize for it, that I'm redefining what success actually means to me. And success should be personal. It shouldn't be the same for everybody. It shouldn't be a one size fits all. Everybody's success should be measured based on their personal values, their personal journey, and what they want to get out of their life. Because everybody's unique and different. I don't want my success to be measured by my output any longer. I don't want to focus on producing in order to be measured by success. I don't want to have my success or my legacy in life be I checked a bunch of boxes off of someone else's list. I want it to be about how I feel about my life. I want it to be about what I want out of life, what makes me happy and what gives me joy and value. It's really eye-opening to realize how much of survival mode I really was in from day to day and how surviving was enough for me. I don't want that anymore. I want living to be my goal. I want as much out of my life as I possibly can get that brings me value. And I realize I do have to work. Sometimes I'm going to be stressed. Sometimes I have to put in a little extra time to get a little extra rest time later. Or sometimes I'm going to have to say yes to something I don't really want to in order to get to the end goal. That's called life. But living isn't about surviving. Living isn't about dealing with just the bare minimum. And living is not about hustle and bustle. So if America messed you up too, I want you to know, especially if you're just coming to this realization as I am, that it's not your fault. It's the water we swam in when we lived there. And some of you are still swimming in it and trying to figure out your way from there. It's the story that we were sold from a very young age. But the good news is, as I'm realizing, is that you can rewrite your story and you don't have to move across the pond to do it. And if you want to rewrite your story, it's going to take time. It's going to take work. It's going to take a few missteps, but you can do it and you can start right now. And this is page 1. So I invite you to please share your story. I would love to hear it. I really want to try to connect with some other expats. I would love to have a portion of this community to be support group for those that are living here and didn't realize how difficult it really is to live in America, but also for fellow Americans, whether you're in the UK, whether you're in America still or somewhere else, and you're trying to unravel this entire stress ball inside of you like I am. If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. I'll do everything I can to help you. And I hope that wherever you are in this journey, that you realize that you are not alone and that everything will eventually be okay as soon as you can sort through this ball of yarn that's all raveled up. As soon as you can get to the core, you're going to be okay. So let's get to the core together. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.